The front door slammed shut with a deafening bang. Ryan stormed into the hallway, his status twisted in rage. He kicked his sneaker status the wooden floor and hurled his backpack against the wall. "I hate it!" he screamed, his voice echoing through the quiet status house. He grabbed a magazine from the table and tore it in half. Standing calmly in the kitchen doorway, his father didn't say a word. He didn't flinch or yell back. He simply stood there, watching the outburst in complete silence. The father walked quietly to the garage and returned with a heavy bag of nails and a hammer. He placed them in Ryan's hands. He did not raise his voice or lecture him about respect. He simply led the boy to the backyard, standing before the old, sturdy oak status. "My son," he said calmly, "I have a task for you. Every time you lose your patience, every time you let your anger take over, you must hammer one nail into this fence." Ryan looked at the rusted bag. He thought the old man was being ridiculous. "Is this a joke?" he wondered. "How is this going to help anything?" But he didn't argue. He took the hammer, thinking it would be easy. He was wrong. The fence was made of tough, seasoned oak. The first day, the anger came often. Each time he shouted or slammed a door, he had to march outside. He placed the tip of the nail against the hard wood and swung. It took force. It took status. By sunset, Ryan had driven 30 status into the fence. His arm throbbed with pain. He stood there, panting, looking at the ugly metal spikes sticking out of the wood. It was exhausting work. Over the next few weeks, a shift happened inside him. Ryan began to realize something important. Controlling his temper was actually easier than driving those stubborn nails into the fence. When he felt the fire of rage rising, he would stop. He would think of the heavy hammer and the hard wood. He would take a deep breath instead of shouting. Gradually, the number of nails dwindled. Some days there were 10, then 5, then only 1. Finally, the day arrived when the sun set and the hammer had not been touched. Ryan had not lost his status once. He felt a new sense of peace. He ran to his father, his eyes shining with pride. "Dad!" he called out. "I did it! I held my temper all day. No nails today!" The father sat down next to him, a gentle look in his eyes. He didn't cheer loudly, but his presence was status as well. "You have done very well," the father said softly. "You have learned to control the fire." But then, he looked toward the fence with a serious expression. "Now, I have one final request for you." "Go back to the fence," the father said. "For every nail you hammered in, I want you to pull one out, but only do it when you have kept your calm for a full day." Ryan nodded. He felt strong. He felt ready. The days turned into weeks. Ryan learned to hold his tongue. He learned to breathe through the fire. And one by one, the rusty nails were pulled from the oak. It was harder to pull them out than to put them in, but he didn't complain. Finally, the day came when the last nail was removed. The fence was clear. Ryan stood back, wiping sweat from his forehead, waiting for his father to see. "Look, Dad," he smiled, his chest swelling with pride. "They are all gone. The fence is clean." The father walked slowly to the fence. He did not smile. He placed his hand on the rough wood and beckoned Ryan closer. "My son, you have done well," he whispered. "But look closely. Look at the fence." Ryan leaned in. He saw the wood. It was no longer smooth. It was riddled with deep, dark holes. The wood was splintered and scarred where the metal had been. Light poked through the jagged gaps, making the fence look weak and damaged. "The fence will never be the same," the father said, his voice trembling slightly with emotion. "When you say things in anger, they leave a scar just like this one. You can put a knife in a man and draw it out. It won't matter how many times you say, 'I'm sorry.' The wound is still there." Ryan froze. He reached out and traced one of the jagged holes with his finger. He felt the roughness against his skin. He suddenly remembered the harsh words he had screamed at his sister, the times he had disrespected his mother. He had apologized, yes, but now, looking at the ruined wood, he understood. The apologies had removed the nails, but the pain he caused had left a mark. "A verbal wound is as bad as a physical one," the father continued, placing a hand on Ryan's shoulder. "The nails are gone, Ryan, but the holes remain. We cannot fix the wood, but we can remember this lesson every time we speak." Ryan looked down. The pride vanished, replaced by a heavy, quiet understanding. The silence in the backyard was no longer empty. It was filled with the weight of the truth. Friends, just like Ryan, we often throw words like sharp nails when the fire of anger burns within us. We might say sorry later, and we might be forgiven, but the invisible scars on the heart can remain long after the apology is accepted. It is much easier to refrain from driving the nail than it is to repair the broken wood. Let this story remind us that our words hold immense power. If this message touched your heart, share this story with someone you cherish as a gentle reminder to always speak with kindness. Stay calm and remember, love connects, but anger leaves a mark.